Guess who's back?
Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about some big breaking news in the NFL. Originally this was going to be a why the Cowboys should not trade for Matthew Stafford video, but obviously there was some big news that completely eliminates that question, which I think we're both happy for. Yeah. But before we get into the video, if you have not already, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Los Andres if you like Dallas Cowboys and NFL content. That is what we produce. But let's get into the video. So the big news, Matthew Stafford was traded to the Los Angeles Rams in exchange for Jared Goff, a 2020 third-round pick, or 2021 third-round pick, sorry, I'm getting my years confused already, a 2022 first-round pick, and a 2023 first-round pick. There were rumors and inklings that the Rams were one of the suitors, and of course everyone's like, how are they going to do it? How are they going to do it? But every time the Rams pull off a deal, you ask yourself that question, but they still pull it off. They've been pulling off these crazy win-now deals for the last 5 seasons, it seems like, going back to Brandon Cooks, obviously Jalen Ramsey, and now trading the last first-round pick that they selected was Jared Goff, and now they will not select another first-rounder until 2024 because of all the things that they've done. Your quick, I guess, snapshot thoughts of the Rams side of this deal.
The Rams side of this deal is that McVay said, I can't win with this guy anymore. He was fed up with it. I think from a fan's perspective, from us not being casuals, what we saw from Goff was what McVay saw from his own quarterback. I mean, he's there freaking coaching him every single day, calling plays for him. They're in win now. Some people say that, people overvalue draft picks when it is a win now league, and there's a window for everybody and everything, and there's a time and place, and they're constantly making moves to win now. Like, we thought their Super Bowl window was over. Lo and behold, they were in the NFC divisional game, and I feel like if they have a quarterback that easily elevates the guys around him, then instead of the coach trying to elevate him, then I feel like it just prolongs the window for what you would say another year, and then from there, what other moves are you going to make? And then you have pieces there, and for the Rams, it's likely that looks like they probably win the division again, the way the other teams in the conference look like right now.
Well, I mean, in that conference, there's still being moves to be made, which, I mean, I think that a team like the 49ers could surprise a lot of people with, once they see the links that a team like the Rams are willing to go to win now, they may be pulling the trigger on something.
If they would have just watched our mock draft from 2017, bro, they would have Deshaun Watson, bro.
And they wouldn't have to worry about anything, and they probably would have already won the Super Bowl, possibly. Yeah. That Deshaun he should have been the first quarterback taking that. Yeah. But anyway, getting back to the Rams. Look, and it's odd to say, but I've said it before in other videos, this is a one-year league, right? You get through 1 year, you can confuse defenses and stuff. But it took a whole season in 2017, or actually I take that back, 2018, for the league to catch up to what the Rams were doing. And it took the greatest coach in NFL history, in my opinion, to figure it out. And he said, okay, this guy's literally being told what to do every single play. In that Super Bowl, the Rams and the Patriots, he waited until the headset cut off, and he said, okay, we're going to switch to the second defense. The defense for the Patriots was getting 2 defenses. Once McVay read the defense that was on the field and communicated to Goff, the microphone went off, they switched to the second defense. And Goff could not process anything in that game. And whenever it came down to making the critical throws in that game, he couldn't make the critical throws in that game, even though there were some wide open opportunities. So over these years since then, McVay realized, look, what I'm doing and innovating with the weapons that we have, with what we're producing, I've made it to the point where you have that opportunity to make a championship, and this guy wasn't able to get it done. Do I want to go through this song and dance all over again and go through his ups and downs, or do I want to get somebody more stable? Now, is the route that they went the route that I would have gone? Personally, probably not. But, hey, I mean, they've made some crazier moves, and it's kind of like a 50-50 crapshoot, I would say, for them. Brandon Cooks didn't work. Obviously, he's gone. Jalen Ramsey's working out brilliantly for them.
Yeah, I mean, he's goated as far as in our era right now.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Right now, he's the best quarterback, in the NFL right now, and overall. I mean, you could argue that he's right up there with Aaron Donald as being, you know, a top 3 defensive player, you know, regardless of position. But getting more into now on the player, Matthew Stafford, who they received in this big trade. We've talked a lot about Goff. I mean, obviously him going to Detroit, I think it's, you know, I don't know what's going to be in store for Goff, but his game is limited. Coming out, he wasn't the most mobile guy, and I feel like 2 things that, I mean, they're always going to be looking at how do you respond to the blitz. That's a big time thing that teams are going to be looking at. But the next big thing is, are you mobile, and what can you do whenever everything is not perfect? And whenever everything is not perfect for Goff, he doesn't have the legs to get out of the pocket. His accuracy he has an arm, but his accuracy goes sideways, and he just does not respond to the pressure well. So that's why they moved on. But getting back to Matthew Stafford, and this kind of will tie into what my thoughts were with, I guess, the Cowboys, but Dak I view as a way far, you know, a top 5 quarterback in my opinion in the NFL. Nowhere near the realm of Goff. But with Stafford, yes, he's talented. He has probably a top 3 arm in this league. He's done some great things, but you can't say that he hasn't had weapons in Detroit. Feel like he's had the weapons to go out and win, and he never really put them there. Yeah. You could argue that organizationally, maybe not all the things were there, but there was a certain point where they had some pretty good defenses and pretty good offenses, you know, going back 5 years ago.
The year they played us.
2014.
The year they played us.
Yeah. They could have gone. And, you know, obviously Calvin Johnson, he's just one guy, but Calvin was, that guy is a GOAT. He is one of the GOATs of his era. And then another thing is, I don't know when the last season was that Matthew Stafford played a full 16 games. Yeah. I mean, that would be my biggest concern with him. He's 32 years old. In the NFL currently, that seems young because we have these guys playing endlessly like Drew Brees and Tom Brady. But I think that they're the outlier in this thing, not really the rule. Yeah. They're the exception. They're not the rule. So it is a big risk and it is a big gamble, and especially what they put on the line. So that's really my thoughts on Stafford. Does it have the potential on paper to be great? Yes, but Super Bowl favorites, some of the things that I'm hearing, this just reminds me a lot of those paper champions, kind of like the Browns were last year. Until I see it, until he's actually on the field, all 16 games, I mean, then we'll go for it. I'm willing to be wrong, but it's still going to be a tough division, and the health is a big concern for me.
Yeah, I've always believed that Stafford had all the talent in the world, but like exactly what you were saying, staying healthy throughout the full season, he has had weapons throughout his career, especially that year in 2014, and they really didn't put it together. I don't put him on this tier of level that's going to absolutely astronomically take your team to another level. Even with, like, I think Deshaun is that, who, like, if you were to land to his team like San Francisco, then you'd say, oh, yeah, damn. But even he has his own slights.
Yeah.
That one stat that I saw for, I guess, Rams fans, when it was 20 yards more downfield on throws, Stafford was 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Goff was 4 touchdowns, 6 interceptions this past season. That kind of writes it for itself. Yeah. I never forget. I saw, was it the playoff game, the first one, or before that? Sometime before that, 24 attempts, 174 yards thrown. Like, that's, I mean, geez, Louise, that's atrocious. That's handicap. Yeah, that's handicap. That's what it is.
And the amount of play action that they would call for Goff, like, it was just, they were baby stepping him, I mean, for a lot. And, McVay, I mean, he really is an overall coach where he's in full control of that offense, so he knows the productivity that he should expect from his offense, and they weren't getting that, and he realized they weren't ever going to get that with a guy like Goff. So.
And one thing about McVay too is, it seems like even though he's lost key coaches, he knows the right ones to promote, and the other guys that have it, that kind of when he was becoming a head coach, and this guy has it right here, and now he's been able to spot that out as far as building up a staff again. which he just lost his defensive coordinator now, but we'll see what he's going to be able to do with that now.
The way I look at it, though, for me, and this is, like I said, for me, if I'm team building, I already said I probably wouldn't have done it. But with the amount that they had to give up, yes, draft picks, they could be anything. They could be a bad player. They could be a good player. But the gap between Stafford and Goff is a lot smaller than the gap between Dak, Watson, and Stafford, to me. They're a lot closer in a player versus Stafford is to those guys.
Yes.
And you can argue with, but I haven't seen it from Stafford. I haven't seen the super elite plays that I've seen from a guy like a Watson or a Dak where they're off schedule just making some great plays. The talent is undeniable. There was a reason that he was the first overall pick. But putting it all together, I haven't seen it yet. Now, with a coach like McVay, maybe he can. It's unlocked, and we're going to see something, even greater than we've seen from them in the past, which was, a number one offense in the league. Mm-hmm. And this year, they were pretty good with a limited offense, and they had a great defense. So, I don't know.
Another thing with Stafford, everybody will talk about, Dak and Watson against. Well, I believe Watson really only played good against bad teams, anyways, this year too. But Dak's had a pretty good record as far as if you want to stack it up to Breeze and guys like that with a record against winning teams. Stafford's record against winning teams is absolutely atrocious, like horrible. Like I think it's.
I want to say it's like 4-13, something like that.
Yeah, it's like single digits. It doesn't break double digits. Yeah.
So I don't know. If you want to argue between Dak and Watson, hey, I'm here for it to hear it and argue it all day. But if a guy between Watson and Dak / versus Stafford, the data is not on your side whenever it comes to how much they impact the game.
And there's literally no stat out there that says Stafford is better than any of those.
If we had made this video before this trade happened, we could have gone through. There's no stat.
There's no stat. There's no stat at all.
Nowhere. The only thing, and this is just going into the Stephen Jones philosophy, which a lot of fans have been brainwashed as cap space. Yeah, he's at a $25 million cap hit right now, but it's only, I believe, a 2-year contract. So you're going to have to end up paying this guy. Let's just say he is the quarterback that you want him to be.
He plays to 37. Yeah,
it's
going to be a 4-year contract. Yeah, you're going to bring up a 4-year contract again for, 40?
Yeah. And then, all right, let's just quickly hit. Goff was the first overall pick in the 2016 draft. He was offloaded. The second pick was Carson Wentz. He was benched. Every other quarterback in that class other than Dak Prescott has either washed out of the league or is a backup or just wasn't starting quarterback material. And Dak Prescott hasn't been paid yet. He's obviously head and shoulders the best quarterback from that class. So please, Cowboys fans, look beyond whatever it is. That bad stretch of games in 2017, look at what have you done for me lately? And last year, whenever he was on the field, he was a difference maker. He was the thing that was keeping them in games. Whenever turnovers were bad, whenever the defense was literally like the worst, one of the worst in history.
He was the straw that stirred the drink.
He was the drink. He was everything right now, and the way that the Joneses, the way that he has positioned himself, he really is the Cowboys. If you want to talk about, he is the face of the Cowboys more so than any other player.
It's just so crazy to me how we've never had this problem in our franchise, especially when Dak taking over his rookie year, and especially it is a topic with the Cowboys with as far as marketability and all that stuff and everything. For a guy to take over like that and represent the franchise so well, and then when it comes contract time to be able to pay him, we've never had an issue like this throughout our entire lifetime of being Cowboy fans.
Yeah, rather than say, hey, this guy's making our brand better, they're using it in the reverse where, look at what our brand is doing for you, which
we've never had that.
I don't know, man. It's mind-boggling, but just pay him. I'm glad that we don't have to hear about a Stafford anymore, because that was semi-realistic. If you really wanted to do it, it was semi-realistic. Kind of like the Rams was semi-realistic, and somehow they got it done. But let's get back to the other quarterback, the big name. I know you want to talk about Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun. Man, I don't think Deshaun is as good as Dak. One reason why is because he is not as good in the pocket as Dak is. And a lot of the big plays that comes from him is because he's not good in the pocket. The the plays that get put
the
on.
The defense is breaking down there, and he keep up with his legs, and he's looking downfield.
Yeah. That's because he's just simply his maneuverability and his willingness to stay composed in the pocket as far as breaking out early and stuff. He does that all the time, and that usually when he doesn't have to. So I believe that he's not as good as Dak in that one tier category. From there, we can argue all day, I guess. But Deshaun has a lot. I think there's not a better draft, both sides, for the Texans. Whatever team trades for him from the top, there's not a better draft going in that you probably both wouldn't feel comfortable in, because the Texans are going to get a couple of picks which they need to get to rebuild, and likely if it's a team from the top, they're going to get a generational talent on paper, whether it be Trevor Lawrence, or if you believe Justin Fields is that guy, or if you even believe oh my gosh, kid from BYU.
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson has that special arm talent that you believe you're as a franchise, you're going to feel good if you end up trading with that. If y'all end up making a deal between each other, which hypothetically speaking would be the Jets, Texans, whatever, you probably get a couple pieces and you'll get some draft picks, and then you're going to get that generational talent quarterback. With the Jets or whoever it is, you have some pieces there. You need a quarterback that's going to propel yourself. Deshaun, you got the left tackle in Becton. You've got some young talent on the outside with Denzel Mims and stuff. You're going to have to re-sign some of the defensive players, but hey, it's not a bad start. And you know what a quarterback does for your team. It just propels you, and someone like Watson is definitely going to do that. So I would say it should be a win-win from either side.
I think that organizationally, the Texans have made every wrong move, and it would be another wrong move to prolong this holdout with Deshaun. They just need to pull the Band-Aid off, get it done. Does it suck to have a good player like that you drafted walk out the door? Yes. But DeAndre Hopkins was another guy that you drafted and you sent him off out the door. Is the person who was technically overseer of that move still in the building? No. But the owner's still there, and he had to okay all that. So the relationships in Houston with Deshaun, they're severed. And if you want to look back at the history of players recently, a la Le'Veon Bell, a la Antonio Brown, like once they cut off the team, that was it. And any kind of prolonging of that just made it worse. So they need to really be investigating. If I was a Texans fan, I wouldn't be holding out to hope. I'd just be like, okay, I mean, this is going to be a fresh start, whatever. We have a new coach. We have a new everything. Let's just, it's going to suck. It's really going to suck. But I really don't think there's any hope.
But because of what I'm saying, as far as you're going to get multiple picks.
Well, you can get back.
You're going to get multiple picks to feel good about something and feel good about drafts in the future for probably 1 to 3 years.
And from all indications, their new GM, Nick Casario, seems to be a pretty good guy who should be in the know and a quality GM. I mean, that's yet to be seen. But look, I don't think the Watson relationship is salvageable. But what you can get in return can be, I'm not going to say equal to Deshaun, because he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. You can get that in return. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. That really depends on what your development's going to be. But you can get as good as what anybody would get right now with how the market has set up, with the Rams trade, with what's available out there, the accumulation of picks a team like the Dolphins has, a team like the Jets has or is willing to let go of. You can get a lot of value.
And if you're the Texans, there's not a better draft to go ahead and give it up to a team from the top because of guys like Trevor and Justin and Zach and even the kid from North Dakota State, whoever you like.
There's at least 4 to 5 quarterbacks up there that you could possibly convince yourself in that can be the guy, or you could develop to being the guy. So
another thing too, man, I don't know if you're on my side of this, but hey, I like seeing stuff like this. The players control the market, not them, not the team and not the owners. Like this is their league. Without them, it's nothing.
I think it should always be equal. I mean, the owners have had control and, for years in the negotiations and everything. And in a case like a player like Dak, where I wish he was more vocal sometimes, or made more not statements, but in actions and what he does to, I guess, maneuver himself. Like I saw the other day, someone said, "Oh, he could be releasing workout."
I was about to say the same thing. Yeah,
like, or progress videos right now.
Or just some players like to document their stuff, and he obviously has resources to do that.
Just to show, hey, obviously he's working.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a harder working guy probably in that organization, but it kind of sways even more leverage in this direction. Whereas a guy like Watson, he's doing anything and everything to go out there and say, hey, I don't want to be with this team anymore, vocally, in actions, everything.
Twitter, whatever it takes.
Yeah. So I think there's a happy medium in where you want to go, because you don't want to end up like the Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams, before his trade and everything, he was like the apple of everybody's eye, and he was like this, the hard-working, awesome defensive player. But once he started getting too much into the spotlight, then the cracks started to show to me as a person/player in what I'm looking for. Kind of like a Jalen Ramsey type, though Jalen Ramsey backs up everything he does, everything he says with what he does on the field. So there's part of that too. So that's why Dak will always be one of my favorite players, because he fully represents everything that I look for in a player. Now, everybody likes different players for different things, but if you're looking for that fully straight-laced guy, or a guy who made a mistake but has fully come back from it, the hardest worker in the room, who's improved every year, then Dak is that guy 100 million times %, and he's the guy that you want for the face of your franchise.
I always say, throughout my whole entire time watching football, I've never seen, there's two quarterbacks that I've seen make the biggest leap from the time that they needed to make, and that were absolutely just, you don't see guys do this. You don't see guys do that, just totally transition and totally make themselves over into just winning from the pocket, that can win straight from the pocket through the league, and that's Josh Allen and Dak Prescott. That's the only two guys that I've really seen that have actually the amount of work that they had to put in, and the amount of makeover they had to do to themselves to be able to adapt to this league and just show that they can win in this league. Those are the only two guys that I've seen absolutely I'm not saying get better in general, but what they had to do and the total transition makeover that they had to make to themselves. Yeah, I've never ever seen other two guys do that.
And it's a changed league too. Granted, we've only been watching and can only document what we've seen, but a guy like Aaron Rodgers, where coming out he had a crazy weird release and stuff like that, but he was able to sit behind Brett Favre and develop, and they were able to hold him because the way contracts work for rookies was completely different, and obviously he was behind a legend, so he didn't have to start immediately. A guy like Dak, he came in and, it was emergency mode basically, because the two guys in front of him were injured and weren't going to be able to play basically for a majority of the season. And he started off great. He had a dip, but he worked on what was, what was criticized, what was evident that he needed to improve on, and he improved on it. We had endless arguments over, but I don't know, there's something with Dak from the very beginning. It was a belief. For me, it was a belief, and it has to go back to his demeanor. That's the only thing that you can really pull from it, his demeanor and the way that he carries himself, that put that belief in me. But not every guy's going to have that, and I think that whenever you have a guy that has that and has shown what he's shown, I don't know why you're hesitating to pull the trigger, other than the injury. But all indications are that's nothing to be worried about, and other guys have come back and fully recovered from that injury before. So
one last thing, I can't remember who wrote the article. It was that you said if you were to take the last 21 out of the 22 top prospects and draft them, you would end up 21 out of 22 times you would end up with a less productive player than Dak Prescott. If you were to take the top draft pick from the past, whatever it was, year's drafts, yeah.
And I want to say, going back to 2010, there's only in the first round only, there's only 2 or 3 guys that are still with their teams.
Yes, which
currently.
is
Rodgers, Matt Ryan,
and I can't remember the last guy. I know you're talking about.
Might be Dak Prescott. Yeah. He was not a first round guy. Sorry.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's why whenever people say, "Oh, well, look what they got for Stafford," what could you get for Dak? It's But what you have is already so good, you're not guaranteed to have something better. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is the best prospect since friggin' Peyton Manning, but there was also a Ryan Leaf in that same draft class that everybody thought was going to be just as good. You know, you don't know what you're going to get. So if I know what I have right now and I'm in love with it and I want to keep it, I'm going to keep it rather than going back and rolling the dice. Especially, and I've said it a million times, a team like the Cowboys who did everything possible to not pick a guy like Dak Prescott, or tried to, and he fell into their lap somehow by dumb freaking luck because they wanted to pick a host of those other guys that aren't in the league anymore or aren't with their same teams anymore. And you know, I mean, it's just pure freaking luck for a team like the Cowboys with all the lights on them that everybody hates and everybody loves at the same time. They got that lucky
twice,
and they're trying to freaking screw themselves over out of it. I don't know. It's crazy. It's stupid. But it writes stories. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But pay the guy. If anybody's gonna get dealt, I mean, I would say the Texans need to deal Watson, get it done, and you know, make another big headline and move forward. You know. But yeah, I think that covers everything. We appreciate you watching this video. If you have not already, please subscribe to the channel, and we will see you next time.
Yo, I ain't here for the money, I ain't here for the fame. Though it might be nice to own a jet plane, I'ma do it all for you. Come along and see it's true, but the